Great. So Ranuka, do you want to get started with some basic questions?
Yeah, awesome. So straight off the bat, if we could just get your name, degree year, campaign color, and slogan.
Yes, so my name is Choi. So I'm a first year student studying a Master of Commerce. My campaign slogan is Advance with Ada, and my campaign color is Carol. So
Okay.
a pinky color.
Yeah. And who's your campaign manager for this USU campaign?
I have Yolanda as my campaign manager.
Awesome.
What's their full name?
Yolanda Bai. I'll send it through to you afterwards.
Okay, yeah, sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
So are you in any political party that's federally aligned?
No, I'm independent.
And are you part of any faction on campus?
Not at the moment.
Okay, we noticed your slogan is Advance with Ada, so we thought you might be perhaps related to the Advance faction. Do you have any history with student politics on campus?
You mean in USU?
Yeah, and you said just campaigning for, or generally how you voted or things like that.
No, I am a first semester and first year student, so I have nothing to do with policy here at this stage.
Okay, so you've just started here at USU?
I've just started, yep.
Okay, well, in that case, why are you running for USU Board, just in general?
So I was here during the orientation week, and some of my friends were there with me as well, and we sort of had a really good experience in attending all the events at our week. So when my friends saw this opportunity, they referred me to maybe this is a very good opportunity to run the board, because it is a really unique opportunity in student lives. So I think that's good. So they recommended me and I just joined. Yeah, so I end up here.
Okay, so you're running off a recommendation for your friend.
Yeah.
Do you know anything, what's your kind of level of knowledge about how the USU operates?
My level of knowledge is based on all the information available online. So one of the things I believe is very important is that from a newcomer perspective, like I can consider the viewpoints from a newcomer perspective as well, because everything has gone online and there is so many things that is not being very transparent. Like it's very hard to deliver information to all of the students at the moment. So as a newcomer, I think there's a lot of rooms that can be improved on information delivery, and maybe because I'm as far as I'm aware, I'm the only postgraduate student running the election. So maybe I can represent this group of student population as well.
Okay, you've kind of answered our other questions. Sorry, Ranuka, I just asked one more follow-up.
Yeah.
So what makes you think, what kind of value do you think your newcomer perspective adds? So you said, as a newcomer, you'll be able to see through issues better. Why do you think that is?
So it is because how I just come to this university and realize that there is so many information available, and sometimes those useful information. So for example, how all the Chinese students are still overseas and they cannot come for orientation week. So those information is not very accessible to many of the students not being on campus at the moment. So I think so the point is that there should be many things that I do not know. So the things that I do not know will be similar to other student situations. So my point is that how can I make those information available to other students as well? So for example, those events and activities holding by the USU at the moment. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay. Ranuka?
Considering that you are so new to the university, Ada, what do you think makes you better placed than the other candidates who are running who have a lot more sort of institutional knowledge about how the USU runs?
I think my competitive advantages will be my work experience and how I have been really active in my undergraduate degree. So I am a vice president of a student club, study abroad representative, and international student mentor at my undergraduate university. And I have worked in several industries as well. So I've worked in education industry. So I worked as an international marketing assistant at my undergraduate university. And after I graduated, I go straight into doing film distribution, so entertainment industry. And then I'm currently a high school educator as well, a high school teacher. So I have a lot of student leader background and also work experience. And I think that might add value to being like running the board.
Okay. But your undergraduate degree, you didn't complete it at USyd though. Is that correct?
No. But I have a lot of experience servicing domestic and international students. So, because I'm a newcomer, so obviously I don't have a lot of friends, and I don't, so given the situation, now everything has gone online, I don't have a lot of friends, and obviously I can't have a very clear picture of how the USU has been servicing their members, but I think the board's term is around 2 years, so it is a way for me to learn and progress as well. So being on the board is not just producing output, but also a way of mutual learning for me to grow as well.
So would you say you're running for USU board mainly for yourself?
Not really. So one of the point I think is that because postgraduate student is quite underrepresented in the board. I'm not sure, but I think we don't have, so most of the board directors, they're undergraduate students. So maybe I can make a decision that consider involve the interests of postgraduate students as well.
Okay.
Great. So we're just going to ask you a few questions about the workings of the USU and the current financial sort of situation that they're in at the moment. If you had to cut $1 million from the USU's budget, where would you cut it from?
$1 million. So I actually did some research before coming to this interview, but I don't see any financial documents available on USU website. So this is a very difficult decision to make if I don't have a clear picture of how much funding is being allocated to different functional departments within USU. But if I'm to cut funding, so how about we can source additional funding from somewhere else? For example, I read through the Constitution. We have different types of membership, but we currently don't have alumni membership. So how about we can create that new membership type to source more funding, and we can ask for donation as well from alumni, instead of, because I don't have a clear picture about how finance is running within USU right now.
Okay, I understand that maybe you don't have access to the financial numbers, but let's just rephrase the question. And in principle, where would you cut money, especially considering the USU is losing a lot of money at the moment due to the COVID crisis? In principle, where would the first kind of place for you to cut funding be?
If I am with a student-led organization, I think the first area to cut funding, I think, will be marketing. So because marketing is a variable cost that can goes up and high, and that will be my first area to cut funding, if that's the case.
Okay.
So for example, Instagram Facebook, if the USU is spending a lot of money on like doing marketing stuff online and offline, maybe that's the first area that I can cut funding on.
Does that not sort of go against your previous point though about you wanting sort of more information online, greater transparency, that sort of thing?
Well, there is still a lot of free channels to do it. So Facebook and Instagram, they are free channels. You can put money on it, but you can still reach a lot of people through like different social media campaign, like giving out prizes instead of like putting a lot of marketing cost on delivering information. So ask the existing members to maybe reposting a campaign so the other students who haven't joined USU can know about it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so recently, I'm not sure if you've seen this online, but the USU has had to fire and let go of a lot of staff as a result of the decrease in the money coming in due to the COVID crisis. What's your opinion on that, and do you think that that was necessary as a move by the USU?
Can you repeat your question?
Sorry. Recently, the USU had to fire and let go a lot of staff because they were losing a lot of money due to the COVID crisis. The question is, what's your opinion on that, and do you think that that was a necessary move by the USU to fire staff, or could they have come up with other ways around that?
May I know if the staff being fired are casual, part-time, or full-time? Like, what sort of employment status?
Across the spectrum. Yeah.
Well, I think this is a really difficult question because I don't have a lot of information on that. But in terms of that, I think it is important to balance your corporate social responsibility and your financial viability. And it depends on what kind of, I need to know more information on that before making that decision and making an opinion on this, I think.
Okay, but once again, if we rephrase the question to basically being principally speaking, do you think that should have been the decision?
Well, I think that COVID-19 is a very challenging situation, not only for the USU, but also for every organizations or businesses across the world. So it is a difficult decision, but to stay financial viable, it is a way to do so. But for myself, I personally do not support cutting off, firing staff right away, but instead give them support before, give them some support across the crisis, because they have been surfacing the organization for so long. It is not a really ethical decision to fire so many staff from my perspective.
Okay. Just another question on the matter. I noticed that you said before that you would try to introduce an alumni membership, but actually the USU has made all memberships free since the start of last year, or since last year actually, with the election of the new board members.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that free memberships should still continue, or do you think that membership should become paid again given the current financial state of the USU?
Well, I think the current options having both free and paid membership are very good, because you're not only having members who cannot paying a certain, this is sorry, I'll rephrase it. Okay, so I think the options are really good, like having two options. You can reach the maximum audience number, so not the one who pay, but the one who also do not pay. Does that make sense? So it is a way to maximize the number of members that USU can recruit. I think this is good.
Yeah, but membership to the USU is actually free. The only paid option gives you discounts on things like merchandise and drinks and
Mhm.
food at different outlets. So
Yeah,
I was wondering what you meant by the alumni membership then, because alumni can buy into that kind of discount system. So I was wondering if what you exactly meant by that.
so this is, well, alumni membership is to refer to your previous question on cutting funding, right? So my my view is that the alumni membership can be an extra source of fun, and maybe we can have some of our alumni to make donation to USU as well to help us in attracting more funds.
Okay, so it's not like a special type of membership because membership is free. The only type of membership is that discount for kind of outlet stuff.
Uh-huh.
So are you just suggesting that you would encourage alumni to sign up?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Or maybe introduce alumni membership, so it's a different kind of.
Okay, but how would it be different?
So so because you're alumni, so you sign up to the alumni membership. So that's a so we are segmenting them into different groups.
Yep. I know, I understand. But how would it be functionally different to the current one? For example, what would alumni receive in terms of benefits that are different, or if it's the same, why the need for the split?
It's just a title which is different.
Okay.
Okay, but
Just the
just a
name of
follow-up
the membership
question.
is different.
Just a follow-up question to that. Obviously, like lots of USyd alumni are not going to be on campus, so they're not going to actually be receiving like the benefits of a paid membership, which is like discounts at the food and drink outlets on campus. So what would be like the incentive for alumni to actually sign up for a membership if they're not sort of receiving those discounts, which are very much like USyd campus based?
Yep. So one of my policies is that I want to have more benefits and discounts for USU members. So instead of having just on campus or mainly on campus merchants like businesses discount, we can also extend to like off campus restaurants and events, so they can enjoy this benefit not only on campus but also off campus.
Okay. I think the USU already has some system in their app for
Yeah,
off-campus benefits. Were
but
you suggesting
I
that you
think,
extend that
yeah,
relationship?
but I think I looked at the app and I think the number of discounts are not very, like, they're not to a very large number. So one of my policy is to extend the number of merchants, like the discounts, and have more businesses to join us in to provide more discounts and benefits to our members.
Okay, cool. One more question. So obviously the USU and the university have a particular type of relationship. The USU is the student union. They take care of student life in terms of clubs, in terms of food and things like that. And the university does a lot of the administration, and they also are in charge of like the teaching. Do you think the USU should be trying to take a stance against the university, for example, when it does something wrong? So, for example, last year, the USU took quite a firm stance against the university's proposed introduction of the Ramsey Center. And they came out with a statement that very strongly opposed the introduction of the Ramsey Center. Do you think the USU should be taking those political stances?
I think it depends on if it is a stand that is of the interest of the majority students in the campus, that will be a wise decision.
So is that a yes then?
Yes, if the decision is represents the benefits of like an interest of the majority students in the campus, that will be a yes.
Okay. And then kind of building on top of that, obviously the university has done some controversial things in response to COVID. Do you think the USU should be taking a stance against the university on certain things they've done about COVID, or you know, if they should, what should that stance be specifically? Do you think?
Say like. Like
For
what?
example, the university has used Proctor U for lots of its exams, which has caused a lot of controversy. Do you think
Yeah.
the USU should be taking a stance against that?
Well, I think SRC is currently doing that as well.
Yeah, I understand. I'm asking you about if the USU has a role in doing that as well.
From my perspective, I think we can cooperate with SRC to do this.
Okay, so you would advocate it in
Yep,
cooperation
yep,
with
yep.
kind of other. All right, Ranuka.
Great. I was just wondering, what is your opinion on how successful the current USU board has been? And what's your opinion on the current president, Connor Werrett, and how his presidency has gone?
Well, I think the current board is very good because I see the diversity in it. So we have different kind of persons running the board representing different student segments, which is good. And I think the USU is doing a good job because from a newcomer perspective, saying again, because I have attended the whole week, and I think the orientation week is really successful in terms of having so many clubs and so many businesses coming in for the week. This is a really good opportunity for new students to experience how vibrant the campus is. So I think the current board is running really good. And like having, I know because I read through the website, and USU has, they employ students to take up leadership roles, and they offer opportunities for students to do volunteering. So I think they're doing really good.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Kind of adding on to that then, if your only experience of the USU has been through O Week and through the website, do you really think that you have the capability of running the organization? A board director is obviously a lot of responsibility, and you'll be overseeing decisions like, you know, laying off staff potentially or signing big deals with different companies.
Well, as mentioned before, I think this is not only me producing output, but also a mutual learning process. So I believe through running the board, they will provide training, and I have to get to know more information on different areas of the university. And having that knowledge built up, I should be able to run the board confidently.
But you are being paid for the role. It is quite a significant amount of money per year to be a board director.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some of that money potentially is coming from SAF, especially over the next few months
Mm-hmm.
for the USU. So, why should students in part be paying you if, for example, other candidates have more institutional knowledge already? And they don't
Well,
have to
I
have
think
that training process, for example, like they can just get straight into it.
Well, I think it's not only myself that has limited experience, but I think, um, well, this is like, this is a way for me to, like, I have to develop knowledge through a period of time. It's not like just I'm here for 1 month and I know everything. It's, there's a progress. I have to make progress, and it takes time. So I think the board term is around 2 years, and I really need to build that knowledge throughout the process.
Okay, but for example, if you're new here, why wouldn't you run, say, 2 years from now instead of, you know, right as you joined?
As far as you may know, I'm a postgraduate student. So while most of the postgraduate students are here only for 1.5 years, and I'm 2, and I'm planning to do a PhD as well. But I think because there is no postgraduate student running for the board, running the election this time, so this is a good opportunity for me to represent postgraduate students as well.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
In terms of the other people running on the board, do you think that there's anyone who you share sort of quite a few similarities with? And then who do you think you differ from the other candidates most?
I think the most different point is that I run independently, and I'm postgraduate student. And because we haven't really come to that promotion period, I don't know the policy. So it's difficult to make an opinion right now.
Have you reached out and tried to contact the other candidates?
Yes, I did. Yeah, some of them.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Well, let's dive straight into your policy then. Just moving on from those kind of general questions. What would you say your overall policy priority was? So kind of like your main area or your top, area of policy. What would you say?
I think that will be student welfare, support, and engagement.
Yeah. Do you want to talk me through those?
So because as a postgraduate student, I think, so some of them will be here just for 1 year, 1.5 year, or even like 5 year. So within that short period of time, how can we give them support and engagement? So for example, like CET students as well, they are not represented by any student body aside from USU. So I believe having those welfare support and engagement, we can maximize our reach to those who spend a short period of time here or having no student organization that represent them.
Okay. Do you think there's a problem then currently with how the USU is supporting postgraduate students? What are the specific problems that you see?
The specific problem I see, I think like most of the USU events, they open to everyone. But many of my friends, they sort of like, they think that some information cannot reach them. So I think this is one way that can leverage the effort.
Okay. But there's like not really like for example, like an undergraduate channel of the USU that only undergraduates can access.
Yeah, I know. I said
so
most of the events, they are open to everyone in the campus.
so how do you think you can increase that flow of information to postgraduates?
Like to how to engage them, right?
Yep.
So I think to engage postgraduate student will be to sort of like, I think one of the way maybe is to communicate more with Supra. So because they are the major channel to reach postgraduate student, maybe we can consult them on how can we do that as well.
Okay. I think the USU has a relationship with Supra, but you think it's not enough?
I don't have enough information on that. Like, I don't know how the connection works here at the moment because there is no information available online on this.
Okay, understood.
Okay, so one of your other policies is about renovating the USU app.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually something that happened last year. Do you think that it's like viable that this is something that the USU would put time and money into doing when they've done it last year, considering the current financial state that they're in as well?
Okay, so let me rephrase this. How about we improve the application? So I think the current application is really good. They have a really good design, but the thing is that if we go back to normal life and we have all of the clubs, events, and activities happen at the moment, we can sort of have them into one application. So if you are a member of a certain club, you can get notifications and event notifications on the app instead of having like emails bombing in, like coming into email account.
Okay.
So
a lot of like club and society organizing is done on Facebook. So the main sort of stream of notifications and messages is generally going to come through on there. Do you think that the app could be improved enough that clubs and societies would use that rather than use Facebook as a stream of communication?
Well, I think having all information in an application is really like accessible and convenient for a member of many clubs. They can, using this application as a one-stop shop, they can like do everything, like browse the event calendar, browse different activities happening for different clubs.
So are you suggesting it's more of like a discovery usage then? So people who aren't already a member of a club can see what events are going on? Is that your pitch, or is it for people who are
For
already part
people
of
who are
clubs?
already in the club.
Okay,
So if
so
they sign up as a member, they will be put into a certain like user group, and then they can receive notification from the club. And then if clubs recruit member, they can also sort of like as what you have said, discover more information on other clubs as well.
Okay.
all right.
Just going back to what you said before about sort of this phrase, like if we go back to normal life, when we go back to normal life, a lot of your policies are sort of based on that assumption. But at the moment, we don't really have a lot of clear vision about what, this semester or next semester is going to look like, or even if that's going to be something that can happen, that we will be able to go back to normal life at all. And a lot of your policies will not really be very relevant in the case that like COVID-19 situation continues. Have you thought much about policies that are able to happen if the university doesn't go back to normal?
Yes, I think most of the clubs, they are having online events as well. So if we are talking about the application, certainly we can incorporate that in as well if they are doing online activities. And with some of my policies, for example, those membership benefits and discounts, I think you still have to go and buy groceries. You still have to go and buy takeaway. If USU can leverage that discounts, members do not only use that membership on campus, but they can also use that benefits, like enjoy that benefits and discounts off campus.
So, okay, I understand, but both those policies are very dependent on certain things. So, for example, the USU's app, it's dependent on the renovation actually happening, which, as we've already said before, takes a lot of time and money. And for example, the discounts is dependent on the USU actually being able to leverage discounts with, Woolworths or Coles or
Yeah.
whatever big shopping mall, that people want to shop at, which in history they haven't managed to at this point. So do you think that's something that's going to be realistically achievable?
Well, for the discounts, I think it is quite realistic, achievable, because in my undergraduate degree, I did this project for one of the student club, and we have nearly every restaurant in the CBD signing up discount contract with our club. So many of our members have been able to enjoy this like 10% discount or having a free drink if you spend more than $50 deal on many restaurants in the CBD. So I think with like USU is one of the most successful student union in Australia. So I don't see there is any difficulty in having like more merchants to join us and provide discount to our students.
Kind of building also on what Ranuka said, do you have any specific measures or policies in mind that can help students recover from COVID?
Recover from COVID?
Yeah, so not from the disease, obviously, but from the kind of situation that we've been placed in.
Well, I think so. What in terms of like recovering from COVID, like what areas?
So obviously, at the moment, the USU one is suffering financially to an extreme amount, and two, obviously, since everyone is off campus, a lot of the clubs, some of them are doing online events for sure, but I would say the vast majority of clubs are at the moment mainly defunct. Lack of student engagement with the university, things like that. So do you have any policies specifically that will help us restore that? Because you have policies for when it gets restored, but do you have anything to help us get there?
I think for this, let me have a think, because I didn't really build my policy upon that. But
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
To recover from that, I like like one of my policies that, well, again, the membership benefits, if that is really in place, like we have more students joining our USU membership, when they see there's a discount, there's a benefit when joining the union, well, that's another source of funding as well.
A lot of students are in sort of like casual work and have lost their jobs or in quite sort of like precarious situations. Do you think that it's sort of a bit unrealistic that students are going to be like paying money to join up to the USU at this point in time?
Well, that's a good question. I think it takes time to do this. Like recovery is not like a 1 month or 2 month things to happen. It takes time and it takes effort for every one of us to recover from this pandemic. So yeah, it takes time.
Cool.
Okay. One more thing to add, just a couple more questions. So for example, I see under your student support heading, you've mentioned a secondhand book policy.
Yeah.
I think that there's already been, or there already exists many platforms for secondhand books, either privately or, for example, the SRC has some secondhand books or subsidies as well, textbook subsidies. Why do you think it's the USU's job to create that sort of platform?
Because, well, actually this policy is like I discussed this policy of many of my friends, and they said they cannot find a channel, especially those who are very new to Sydney. They cannot find a channel because they're not familiar with how all these private organizations is selling, are providing platform for second-hand book, like selling and buying. So I think, what about USU having that platform provided to every student at the university so they can access to great value secondhand book on an online platform, and so students can sell and buy at a cheaper price, and also more environmental friendly, like instead of buying a new textbook.
Yep, I understand the kind of proposition of secondhand books in general, but I was more referring to why you think the USU specifically should start the marketplace when similar services already exist that more students are on.
I think taking the step is always it's better than not. So if so many of us, like many of my friends, like literally every of my friends, think that they do not have the platform to buy, or they do not know a platform who sells secondhand bookstore, how about USU create that platform so many students within the campus can access to that valuable resources?
Okay, cool. Ranuka, do you have anything to add?
No final questions.
So Ada, do you have anything you want to say right at the very end?
Not at the moment.
Okay, well, thanks so much for coming.